Hi guys, and welcome to Amy Learns to Cook. On the show today, we're going to do a continuation of our ultimate food processor challenge by putting 3 full-size food processors to the test in chopping, shredding, and slicing. And we are going to crown the king of all food processors. We're going to be testing the 14-cup Cuisinart, the 16-cup KitchenAid Proline, and the 16-cup Breville to see who comes out on top. So join me as we do the ultimate food processor challenge. So we're going to be testing these food processors on the same categories that we used in the last one. If you want to see my other food processor challenge, I'll put a link down in the description. So we're going to look at these in terms of the overall look and feel of the food processor. We're going to be looking at all the different attachments and what options are available for each one. Then we are going to put them to the test by seeing what they can do. We're going to be using the chopping blade, and we are going to be chopping up some onions. We're going to be using the slicing blade. We're going to chop potatoes and tomatoes, and we are going to be using the shredding blade, and we are going to chop some cheese. So first up is the Cuisinart. This is a 14-cup full-size food processor. This is the largest food processor they make for the home cook. They do have a larger one, I believe it's 20-cup, but it's a commercially rated food processor. This is made for, obviously, the home cook. So one of the things about this food processor is it's very competitively priced. I think you can get this anywhere from $199 to $249. You can actually get it on sale some places for $149. We got a really good deal on this one. We got it at our local club store, and it was $129. Now, one issue about the club store is it has slightly a different model number. But at our club store, the boxes had a little sticker slapped on there, and when I peeled the sticker off, it has the same model number as the one that's sold by Amazon. So just check and make sure with the model numbers. The club stores might be a little different, but it might actually be the same food processor. So this is our Cuisinart, and one of the things about this food processor, and with a lot of the Cuisinarts, is this is a bare bones food processor. It does not come with a lot of different attachments. What you get with it is the shredder. This is a medium shredder. You also get a slicer, which is a 4mm slicer. You get the chopping blade, and you get the post for your blades. And this is pretty much it. This is not an adjustable blade. One of the problems with these Cuisinarts is if you want blades of different sizes, you want a fine shredder, you have to go and pay for these blades individually. Some of them, like the Breville and the KitchenAid, this is adjustable, so you only need one blade that goes from super thin to super thick. These Cuisinarts, you got to get a different blade for every single one, and they can be expensive. A set of blades could run you $50, $75. So that's just something you need to take into consideration when you're thinking about a machine like this. So this is our machine. So you have your pushers, just like any other machine. One of the things I can say on this machine is the pusher is large, but it's not huge. The KitchenAid and the Breville have a larger pusher. And one of the things about the pusher is the smaller the pusher, the more you got to cut your material down to get it through here. So if you want like planks of zucchini that you can put on the grill, the bigger this is, the bigger your planks are. This one right here, you're not going to get very big planks with this. You're going to have to get small zucchini and cut them in half to be able to get planks with this because it's really small. This is our bowl. And one awkward thing with this and I would just have to get used to this as I used it. This was almost backwards to me. The way this bowl goes on, the handle's up front as usual, but what I'm used to is this thing here matching up with a handle, but on the Cuisinart it's backwards. So you just have to keep that in mind when you go to put it together. When I first went to put it together, I was going like this, and I was like, this thing isn't fitting. But actually, it is totally opposite from every other food processor I've ever used. So this is a pretty powerful machine. The base of it is really heavy to keep it on your counter. One thing I can say about this to me personally is it kind of has an older style to it. It's got these paddles up here, which I'm a little concerned about things getting stuck in here and its cleanability. And they just look a little dated. They did add the stainless steel rim here in the black, which will match your stainless steel appliances. But to me, it's just a little funky. I call it the big submarine. I tend to like the look of the Breville and the KitchenAid a little better than this, just because it just looks a little modern. They've been making this style for a long time, and it just looks a little kind of dated to me. So part of that for me is just the availability of the blades and stuff that you get with it. It has a very limited amount of blades, and frankly, if you just want to do basic shredding, chopping, and slicing, you know, this could be an option. So for me, I kind of want a little bit more for my food processor than just the basics. This is a full-size food processor, and I want it to do everything a food processor should be able to do without me having to shell out a bunch more money. So for that reason, I give it a B. Okay, first up, we're going to do some chopping. Now, we're going to do some parsley. This food processor does not come with a small bowl, so we're going to have to do the parsley in the main bowl here. And we're going to be using the chopping blade. So you just set that here, and we're going to take our parsley. One of the things when I do parsley is I take off some of these big stems because I just don't want to eat that. I don't take off all of them because I'd be here all day, right? But I take off these like big woodsy ones. Okay, so let's see what this thing can do. We're going to put our parsley in here. One of the things about parsley is you have to be careful, because if you over process it, you won't have chopped parsley, you'll basically have parsley soup. And it can get that way really, really fast. So you want to use your pulse button with this, and you're just going to give it a couple little pulses. And let's take a look and see how that is. Okay, so this is our parsley. And one of the things I see here is we have a lot of pieces that are nicely chopped, but look at this. We have like these huge hunks. If I would have kept processing this here would turn into parsley soup, and these things here would chop. So it's very uneven. I'm a little concerned about that, because if you want to use this as like a garnish on top of a dish where you need to bring some color into it, and you have this stuff going on, you can't even use that, because this is going to be over chopped, and you can't put these big pieces on there because they're, you know, who wants to bite into that? So I don't know. I really think that it didn't do a great job on the parsley. So I think maybe if the Cuisinart had a mini chopping bowl for things like parsley and garlic, it would do a better job. It's just that mixing blade is just a little too large, and it's probably a little too high up from the bottom to reach a pieces like this. If this piece is sitting flat on the bottom of the food processor and the blade is so big that it's not coming up here it's going to leave these kind of pieces, and that's one of the things that the mini bowl helps with, is the blade is smaller and you don't tend to get big huge chunks like this. So in my opinion, the Cuisinart on parsley, it gets a C. Okay, next up is the slicing blade, and we're going to be slicing some tomatoes. So with the Cuisinart, it comes with this separate post. So to put this on, you just have to push down this lever here. You place it here on the blade and you twist it, and the blade is on. So the blade goes on here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our lid on backwards. And here's our tomato. So I'm going to go ahead and take the top off of it, just so we don't get that part. And so one of the things when you're chopping tomato or you're slicing tomatoes in a food processor, you want a tomato that's really super firm. If you get a tomato that's soft, it just smashes it to bits. So you want one that's nice and firm, not too much seeds in it. Romas are really good for that. This is a beef steak, but it's really firm. I made sure, and I even put it in the refrigerator to firm it up a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and put our tomato in. And one of the things you can see is you can't get a tomato in here that's too much bigger than this, just because your feed chute just won't handle it. So let's see what this baby can do. It was fast. Let's see. Okay, so I put the tomatoes out on a plate. And one of the things I can say is, looking in here, is I don't have a lot of extra little pieces in here. And one of the things I can tell you is the Cuisinart did a beautiful job. I mean, look at this. Can you imagine this piece of tomato on a nice chicken sandwich or a hamburger? I mean, sometimes I use these food processors and the tomatoes are just totally tossed. There is not one mangled piece in this bowl. We have perfect slices. The only problem with this is we only have one blade with it. So there's no way to adjust it to make these thinner or thicker depending on how you want them. But for what it is, it just totally excelled at slicing tomatoes. So the Cuisinart gets an A. Next up is the potato. Now I decided to slice a potato in addition to a tomato just because I just love potatoes. I like hash browns. I like to make my own homemade potato chips. And one of the things that a food processor is great for is to cut your potatoes really fast if you're trying to make breakfast in the morning, and it is like the #1 thing that I use it for. So I added a potato here. So one of the things with this food processor, because we don't have a lot of options in this feed tube, some of them have this small, and they also had a mid-range. So a potato would fit in the mid-range. This doesn't have that. So if I put it in here just like this, it's just gonna fall over and they're gonna be uneven. So I'm gonna go ahead and make some planks out of it. I think most of the time I probably would put 2 in there if I just wanted to do potato chips. But that is a consideration, that if you want to use this for potato chips, there is not a mid-size pusher in here like some of the other ones have. So that might be an issue for you. So let's see how it does with this. That is exactly why you use a food processor to cut your potatoes. That would take me half the day. All you have to do is peel them, throw them in there, and there you go. So let me get these out of there and we'll see how it did. So with our potatoes, it did a fairly decent job. All the potatoes are cut nicely. We do have a couple small pieces, but I think that has to do with the edge of the potato. It did a good job. The only issue is the fact that it doesn't have the medium-sized plunger, so you can cut them this way instead of doing planks. For me, that's a kind of a deal killer when it comes to making French fries and potato chips, because I really want to be able to cut them this way. So it did a good job, but that's an issue. I'm pretty much going to give it a B. Okay, so now we're going to do some onions. We're going to use our chopping blade, and we can go ahead and drop our onions through the chute. So just like the parsley, you just don't want to turn it on and let it go because it will turn it into onion soup. You want to make sure you have your pusher in here because there's an interlock in here. The machine won't start without the pusher in there. So we're going to go ahead and pulse. And let's see how that did. So the onions got me a little bit in the eyes. We kind of had the same problem that we did with the parsley. The more I chopped it, the more this just really chopped up, and we have a lot of big pieces in here. I mean, it did okay. I definitely know with the food processor, you're not going to get the quality of dice you are with a knife. You can never expect that out of a food processor. But there's a lot of big chunks in here. If I would have processed it anymore, this would have been just way over processed. It is over processed a little bit, but this is just, it's not that pretty. So I'm going to give it a C. So next up, we're going to shred some cheese. And one of the things I found is shredding cheese is like one of the most challenging things for a food processor. You really need a nice firm cheese. You can't use a soft cheese like a mozzarella or something like that. It just doesn't shred well in a food processor. This is a nice block of cheddar. We got our cheese in there, and let's see how the Cuisinart performs with cheese. Nice. So up here, this is one thing with cheese is a lot of times you'll get a big hunk on top of the blade. This did a really good job. There's not a lot left over on the top of the blade, so that's really nice. So let's get this out of here and take a look at how it did. So our cheese is done. One of the things you need to think about when you're doing this is not putting too much pressure on the pusher, because I've done that and it'll just jam the machine up. So put a little like light pressure, or sometimes not too much pressure at all, and it'll go through pretty good. So our cheese here. Now, one of the things you can see is you see these strands right here. This is what you want when you're shredding cheese. You want nice, even strands. So when you put this on a taco or you put it on something like that, it's going to be delicious. And it did a great job with that. It did have some mangling of some of this cheese. So do you see this? See how it's kind of broken up here? That's not great. See how it's just like mud? Because when you put this on anything, if you even put a little bit of pressure, it's just like a big ball. When you do that with this, I mean, it does that, but it's just a lot nicer when it's broken up like that. So I pretty much have half and half. I have some really nice stuff here, and then I kind of have this ball here that's okay, but it's, you know, it's not ideal, especially for, you know, like the top of the end food processor for a brand. So I say it did a fairly good job. I really like this here. I think this is really beautifully done. I mean, look at that. That is just perfectly shredded cheese, but we do have a little bit of this going on. So I give it a B. So up next is the KitchenAid Proline. Now this is the highest end KitchenAid food processor that they make. It is part of their Proline series. It is a 16-cup food processor, and it has a lot of things that come with it. So one of the things is it's got a really wide feed tube. It has an interim feed tube. It has an interim feed tube that's medium size, and it also has one that's small size. You can adjust the thickness of the blade from here, and it also comes with this huge container of attachments. So we'll look at those real quick and see what's in there. This is an expensive food processor. I think it's about $600. I got this as a refurbished, so I only paid about $300 for it, so I got a really good deal. But it is a significant amount of money. Compared to the Cuisinart, it doesn't come with all the attachments. The KitchenAid comes with a ton of them. So let's take a look at what's in this box. So this food processor comes with a ton of attachments. This is the box you receive with it. It has a dough blade. It has a multi-purpose blade. This is your basic chopping blade. It's got the chopping blade for the mini bowl. It has the post. It has an adjustable slicing blade. It has a shredding blade that does fine and medium. It also comes with a dicing kit, and we did a test on the dicing kit. I'll put a link down in the description. So this also comes with a mini bowl as well as a mid-size bowl. So this bowl is 16 cups. This bowl here is 10 cups, and this can only be used with a chopping blade. And this bowl here is the mini bowl, and it's 4 cups, and this is great for doing our parsley and all that fun stuff. So it allows you to do that here and then continue with your processing here. So the overall look and feel, I think it's really excellent. It is really heavy, but you are paying for a lot of premium features in this food processor, including the dicer, including an adjustable slicing disc. You get everything you need for this. You don't really need to order too much. We ordered a couple of different blades. There's a space in here for an ice crusher and a julienne blade, which we did order. And we ordered a larger dicer. But this comes with so many attachments, but you're also going to pay for that. It's significantly more expensive than the Cuisinart. But putting the price aside, I think this is really high quality. It appears to be a really nice machine. We'll be testing that out. But in terms of the overall look and feel, I give it an A. Okay, first up is parsley. I've already taken out the big twigs out of it, and we're going to be using the mini bowl. So this is the mini chopping blade, and we have the mini bowl in here. So we're just going to put the blade on here. We're going to put our parsley into the mini bowl, and we're going to let her rip. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what we have. So the results are fairly even. It seems like I had to pulse it a lot more times than the Cuisinart, and it still kind of has a little big pieces. But it's a lot more even. There's not like these big, huge hunks in there. So I think it did a really good job. I give it an A. So we're going to use the main chopping blade, which is this one. We're going to put this in here, and we're going to do an onion. So I'm just going to throw our onion in. This is going to be interesting because this is a big food processor and we're only doing one onion. So let's see how this goes. Let's see how it did. So for the onions, it did a fairly decent job. There are some big hunks in here. And you know, you're not going to get what you get with a knife, obviously. it did a decent job, so I would say it's a B. So next up, the slicing blade. So let's go ahead and grab the slicing blade out of here. And one option we have with this is to vary the thickness of the blade. So we're just going to do it on a medium. And since we did the other one as planks, I'll do this one as planks too. And the planks are really nice. There's a couple of them that are cut like this, only because my potato was small. But they're really nice. They're nicely cutted. They're nice and smooth. I think it did an excellent job. So it gets an A. Next up, tomato. And it was a little tight fit. It was a little narrow this way, so I kind of had to work it in there. And I'm going to do it on a medium. Ooh, I think this might be a little rough. Let's check it out. There's a kind of a big hunk right here that didn't, this is kind of the end piece. Okay, our tomatoes are a little rough. We have some mangling going on. We don't have nice even slices. I mean, it's okay, but it's not, these aren't really nice slices that I would like to see. So I give it a C. Cheese, please. Time to shred some cheese. We're going to get our shredder, and to do this you need this post. We are going to put it on a medium shred. We'll put our cheese in the hopper. And we're going to put the hopper in the hopper. Let's rock and roll. Now let's see what we got. On top of here, whoa, this looks like Chunk City. Look at that. That chunk is huge. That's not really too good. I think there's a rat in the house. So let's take a look at how the cheese actually did. So this is giving us really nice long strands of cheese. There's only a little mangling in there. It looks really nice. The only issue is the fact that there was a huge chunk at the top. But I am really pleased with the results. So we're giving this an A-. So next up is the Breville. And you guys know my opinion of the Breville. The Breville was the winner of my previous food processor challenge. It comes with everything you need. It has an induction motor. It's a 16-cup bowl. It has a mini bowl. It has a wide feeder. It comes with all you need, just like the KitchenAid. So it comes with your dough blade, your processing blade, comes with the mini chopper blade. It has the adjustable slicer. It actually has a French fry cutter, a julienne, got the shredder, and it even has a whip to do egg whites. It comes with everything you need, but it also is on the high end of the price range. It's about $400 to $500. So it is a significant investment like the KitchenAid, but it's a full package, unlike the Cuisinart. So, you know, I love the induction motor, and frankly, on the overall look and feel, it gets an A. Okay, first up is parsley in the mini bowl. So we're going to take the lid off. We are going to put in our mini blade. We're going to put let's put the parsley in, that would help. What I like is this mini bowl, it really throws it around. So let's see how this did. So here's our parsley. It is absolutely beautiful. It's excellent. What's great about it is it kind of throws it around. The blade does a great job of throwing it up so you don't get this like big ball in there. It did an outstanding job. This gets an A+. Next up is the onion. We're going to be using the chopping blade. We're going to put our onion in here. And we're going to chop. And let's see how it did. And the Breville did a beautiful job. I took it a little far. I chopped it a little much, but there's no like big chunks like there have been with the other ones. I say it's an A. Next up, slicing. We're going to do the tomato. So we're going to put the post in. And here's our blade. It is an adjustable blade. So I'm going to put it goes up to 10. No, it goes up to 8. So I'm going to put it right in the middle at 4. We're going to put that in, and we're going to put our tomato in. And we're going to let her rip. Wow, it was fast. So let's see how this is. Tomatoes, they're beautiful. They're nice, solid pieces. And these are tomatoes that you would be proud to put on your burger or sandwich. So the Breville gets an A. Next up, potato patata. 1 potato, 2 potato. We're doing it on a 4 again. Wow. Potato, excellent. This was just the end piece. Breville did an outstanding job again. Breville gets an A. Next up is the cheese. So we are going to be using the coarse shredding blade. Put our cheese in. Nice wide feed tube. And let's let it rip. Very fast. And one thing to note, look at the top of the Breville. There's nothing. It shredded absolutely every chunk of cheese. That's impressive. So let's see how it did. So this, my friends, is a beautiful plate of shredded cheddar cheese. Nice strands, there's barely any clumps, and there was absolutely no chunk on the top of the blade. That's what a food processor is supposed to do. The Breville gets an A+. Okay, my final analysis. Now, all 3 of these food processors did an exceptional job compared to some of the ones that we tested in the previous food processor challenge. They all did a wonderful job, I would say, over and above the other ones that we tested. But there has to be a winner, and there clearly was, in my opinion. So what we have here is we have the Breville, we have the KitchenAid, and we have the Cuisinart. And so we'll just kind of go through each one of these. So for the Cuisinart had a little bit of trouble on the parsley. I gave it a C because it really didn't cut it. There's a lot of huge pieces in with the chopped, and if I would have chopped it enough to get those few huge pieces chopped up, the other stuff would have been pretty much soup. And I pretty much gave it a C on that. One of the reasons it got a C is these are the top of the line food processors for these brands, and they are held to a higher standard than some of the stuff that we tested before. So I was pretty tough on the grading with these. The cheese, a lot of mangling, a lot of chunks, a lot of good stuff, but also a lot of, just all this is just way over processed. Onions did a pretty good job, except there are some big chunks in here. It's kind of uneven. In terms of the tomato, I gave it an A. All the tomato, they're kind of falling apart now because I've had it in the refrigerator, but all the tomatoes were nice slices. So the Cuisinart overall got a B on the overall look and feel, a C on the parsley, a C on the onions, a B on the potatoes, an A on the tomato, and on the shredding it got a B. I mean, overall, I think it's a fairly decent food processor at a really good price, but it's really limited on the number of blades you get, and you really have to fork over the dough to get additional blades. Now for the KitchenAid. Comparing the KitchenAid that we tested in this one, the Proline, versus the 11 cup that we did in the previous model was like day and night. The 11 cup was absolutely horrible. I would say the Proline is such a step up from 11 cup. If you really want to stay under the KitchenAid brand, I would go with the Proline. It comes with a lot of blades. It's kind of expensive, but I think it did a really good job. I pretty much gave it A's across the board, a B for the onions, and a C for the tomatoes. The tomatoes were really bad. I mean, I can't put that on a sandwich. It's mangled. So it didn't do well on that. The onions as well. Big chunks. Did good on the cheese. And I would say it is definitely a step up from the 11 cup. And I give them a lot of props for that. Based on the test that we did, I'm sure you can clearly see, as well as I can clearly see, there's absolutely only one winner, and that is the Breville. Everything was absolutely outstanding. The tomatoes were perfectly cut. The cheese was perfectly grated. Look at that parsley. Everything is nice and even. The same with the onions. You see a lot of brands out there, and a lot of them do a good job. But if you want an exceptional job, there's, in my book, absolutely only one food processor that fits that bill, and that is the Breville. Everything it did on every test, in this test and our previous one, it excelled at absolutely everything. It's an expensive food processor, $450. It comes with all the blades that you're ever going to need. And just look at that. There is absolutely no question that the Breville is the winner.
Cockroach cleaning services at your command.
You're gonna choke yourself.